delivery, and we will
Thank
you, Mr Deputy Speaker. I've news for the member for Wannon. He's going to be extremely disappointed when the NBN starts rolling out in his electorate. Mr Deputy Speaker, the rollout of Malcolm Turnbull's fibre to the node NBN in Shortland electorate has been an abject failure, and the contribution by the member for Wannon shows that he just really doesn't understand what's happening. Now, the people of Shortland electorate waited with great anticipation and expectation for the NBN to be rolled out in our area. There was great excitement in the community, and many of my constituents rushed off very quickly to connect to the NBN. But they have been devastated because there has been a tyranny of disasters. And, Mr Deputy Speaker, I hate to say this, but my office, my electorate office, has become an NBN complaints office, and I'll share some of those complaints with the House this afternoon. Now, there's been a tyranny of disasters, as I mentioned. Services being disconnected, failure to reconnect them, no service whatsoever for my constituents, poor communication between NBN and the providers. And I might say it's not just one provider. It doesn't matter which provider it is, there's a problem. Telstra, Optus, Westnet, Dodo, TPG, all the constituents in Shortland electorate are having problems with their provider and NBN, because it's not a provider problem, it's an NBN problem. Be really aware of it. It's not a provider problem, it's an NBN problem. It's not one provider, it's all providers, because the NBN is not delivering. Now, I'll just share my first example with you. And this is Jess. She has had 5 appointments rescheduled just to connect to the NBN. That's the technician. And when the technician came today, he said, "You've got no connection, no phone line connection." He came back, had another look, and he finally found it. And at 12 o'clock today, she finally was connected to the NBN, and that's taken since the 5th of January to connect. Now, Mr Deputy Speaker, this has been a disaster. The cost blowout's been highlighted, failure to deliver the NBN, the service, the speed, and, of course, the broken promises that Prime Minister Turnbull made to the Australian people. The one thing that people in Shortland electorate have learnt is that you can't trust the Turnbull government. The Turnbull government's absolutely no different to the Abbott government, and they have failed the people of Shortland and the people, I'm sure, throughout Australia when it comes to the NBN. Now, I promised I'd share a few examples with you. Bruce and Rita, they had problems with their NBN and Optus. They had no service. They've had no service since the 1st of February. They can't receive phone calls, they can't dial out, and they're having enormous problems. And of course there's Jerry from Valentine, who works from home. He's a director. He is getting he switched from ADSL 2, and he was receiving 13 MBS a second. Now, just listen to this. Now he's receiving as little as 4 and 5. Incredible. It is an absolute disgrace, and it is a broken promise to the people of Australia. Why should a director like Jerry have his business put in jeopardy because this government fails to deliver what it promised? And then there's Philip, he says, "I'm no tech guru," but on the 12th of January he signed up with ISP Westnet. 4 days, took 4 days to get the internet working, still without a landline, and that was this month. And this goes on and on and on. This government promised the people of Shortland electorate that they were going to get a fast broadband connection, but they have not received it. This government has tricked the people of Shortland. They're tricking the people of Australia. And I say to Karen and Deidre and Edward and Ian and Des and Maxwell Taylor, who the Shadow Minister spoke about, David, even Belmont Meals on Wheels, I'm sorry that this government is so inept at delivering what they promised. You deserve a decent fast-speed broadband,
time
and
has
Malcolm
expired. I thank the honourable member for Shortland, and I call